Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flick Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is not really a major DC Extended Universe news video per se, so I'm just going to keep it really light and frank. Just kind of the thoughts I've been having ever since David the Film Junkies podcast and we did a live podcast together about 3 hours yesterday, and I encourage you guys to check that out. It's on his channel. It's his live podcast. We did a dual thing, and it was pretty good. I had a lot of fun. I can't wait to do it again. Dave, if you're watching, I think we should do it quite often. I think it's very cool to bounce back ideas and stuff like that. I really like doing that, and maybe I can do that with other people as well. But it's really fun to get to know other people in this sense. We share the same fandom, we share the same interests, and sometimes we don't, but that's cool. That's honestly cool. Everybody has their own opinion, and it's great to discuss about it, bounce back and forth, and that's all said and cool. But you know, before I get into my main topics, is that there are a couple of things that some people wanted me to talk about, and I think it's so small, it really isn't news per se. And there was one thing about that whole Randall Park. He got he had the jacket on. He's going to be Dr. Shin in an upcoming Aquaman. James Wan had a picture of him on Twitter, and then someone zoomed into his pocket, and in the pocket you can see a little letter or an envelope or something, and it says notes existence of Superman, or Superman's existence, something like that. And you're like, whoa, that is a huge Easter egg. And I wouldn't put too much into it. I know it's news been slow lately, but I think it's just a nice Easter egg. Of course, Superman's in this world. It's the DC Extended Universe. Of course, Superman is part of it. This is after Justice League. It's very much so. So I wouldn't put too much thought into it, but it is really cool Easter egg. And if Superman does show up in it, that's even cooler. I don't think so. I think they're going to try to keep it separate from the rest of the DCEU in a fashion like Wonder Woman horror. It's not totally connected, but you see tidbits. Like they talked about Bruce Wayne, but they didn't show Bruce Wayne. You know, they talked about Batman, they didn't show Batman. They had Gotham, they had Bruce Wayne's letter and stuff like that. So you have those little tidbits, and I think that's okay in order to show that it's part of an extended universe without having to show it like that. So Easter eggs are fine. I think that's great. That's awesome that they're including it. It's not a standalone per se, but it's not also something that it's not saying that Superman will show up, even though that would be so cool and awesome. I mean, wouldn't it be great to actually see Jason Momoa actually save Henry Cavill in the Man of Steel scene? You know how the two whales, and then you see the two whales later on in Justice League. It's kind of like, well, you know, there's some parallels there, and it could really mean something. But I'm not hoping, you know, I'm crossing my fingers. If it does happen, awesome. But I'm not gonna be like disappointed if it doesn't happen. That's what I'm trying to say about that. So. But there are some stuff in the podcast that we talked about, and one of them I was thinking about as I was talking to him was about Walter Hamada. I mean, a lot of people have been saying, Walter Hamada, we have a lot of faith in you. And he was saying, yeah, I mean, we were going off like, oh, he's coming into the office, he's firing these guys, and is doing all these things. And we love to think so. I mean, we don't actually know what Walter Hamada's role. We know he's the new producer, but we not really sure how he is actually affecting the movies that are coming out. Because if you go on imdb.com and you look at his filmography, if that's even current, you know, not sure. His most current filmography for producer is still It, the horror movie. So It doesn't have Aquaman in it. It doesn't have Shazam in it. It doesn't have Wonder Woman 2 on it. So as far as these movies that were all green-lit, he is not credited as a producer. I mean, I could probably go into Wikipedia, but Wikipedia is where people can insert in. So I mean, I think IMDb is a more surefire maybe, but let me know if you guys see in the movies of these other three DC movies coming out that you see Walter Hamada's involvement on it. But I feel like Walter Hamada's involvement will not be in currently, right? It could be certainly down the line. Like, I think New Gods, that may be a Walter Hamada doing. Maybe. I'm not quite sure. I mean, it has to be because it's part of the DCEU, and it wasn't in the current. It wasn't in the slate before. That seems like a totally out from the left field type movie that's part of that slate, and so it makes you wonder. Like, where does his influence start? Where has it started, and why hasn't it been credited? Why the secrecy behind that, or like why hasn't he openly said anything yet? Including his right hand lady, I forgot her name. I reported it earlier, but I forgot her name. But including that, where are those? They're being very quiet, and I don't know if that means, like, one part of me, I'm like, they're being quiet because they don't know, they're not actually sure, they're still getting themselves together. The other part of me is like, they're getting ready to give us a incredible announcement, not just these little tidbits, but they're gonna announce something big and huge, possibly at San Diego Comic-Con. Which will most definitely have Aquaman, and like today, Zachary Levi was on Instagram doing live video. And by the way, that was funny because Henry Cavill showed up again saying, so who's your favorite superhero? So I don't, but it was really cool that they interact with each other like that. But Zachary Levi says there may be something at San Diego Comic-Con as well. Of course, he's not part of the marketing team, but he's just giving his good guess, and that's my good guess too. If they want to make a strong presentation at San Diego Comic-Con, Warner Brothers and DC will have to give a big bang. They have to come out swinging, and hopefully get some knockouts later on. So I think Aquaman will be there, possibly Shazam. I'm fully expecting a huge slate, and I'm really eager to see what they're going to do. I'm really eager to see what's going to transpire with that. And then I know Dave also said he heard a rumor, which I've also heard, that Walter Hamada did actually enjoy the Snyder Cut. So with that being said, now we haven't talked about the Snyder Cut at all. It has been pretty quiet. Zack Snyder has been pretty quiet about that. He has been really active in the BVS department, answering fans, looking at the BVS references, liking posts, things like that. He's posted some stuff. Like some of them were really funny, like the Batman with the lightsaber. That was from his little cut trailer that he did before. And then there was his stuntman as in the bat suit in the background. He's has some posts on there, but nothing really big or related to what could possibly be the Snyder Cut at all. So it's been pretty quiet on the up the front, and that could be a good thing or that could be a bad thing, meaning there's nothing going on and it's dying down. I want to be optimistic about it, though. I am still have the faith. In fact, you can also say I have renewed faith. Renewed faith in the Snyder Cut. So I'm gonna keep optimistic. I'm gonna keep the faith up, and I encourage you to, if you do believe in the Justice League Snyder Cut, to also keep optimistic, keep the faith up. I believe there are things in motion that we cannot see, and a lot of these people who don't call Snyder Cut a hoax do not see either. I believe there is something brewing, and I will continue to believe that until someone from Warner Brothers or Zack Snyder himself says there will be none, and we should stop believing in it. We should stop hoping for one, and that's how I'm going to go about it. If Walter Hamada is truly was one of the part of the team that actually enjoy Zack Snyder's cut, then my faith has been more restored by that matter. including, and I still go back to Kevin Sujihara's notes saying that we shouldn't be chasing Marvel's tail, in a condensed way. But he's saying that we shouldn't be like Marvel. We should be doing our own thing. And even though Justice League had come out, and it's surefire they're trying to make it more like Marvel, I am so eager to see how Aquaman fares. I am so eager to see how Shazam fares. I am so eager to see how Wonder Woman 2 fares. I'm just so eager to see what San Diego Comic-Con has to bring. Because if it is just, you can tell that it's not going to be a Marvel type movie, and there is nothing wrong, by the way, of a Marvel type movie. Okay, Marvel is doing their thing and they're doing it well. They're having a lot of success in that. There's so many ways you can bring out comic book superhero movies. You don't have to all copy each other. You can be all diverse. Look at Logan, right? Look at Deadpool. They're all different in that respect. So they don't have to copy that. And in at the same breath, you don't have to expect the box office numbers of each other, because it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to be a $1 billion club in order to be a successful movie, right? And so I think maybe they're feeling that way. And I think with Walter Hamada and the new inclusion of New Line Cinema being, I feel like they're being a little bit more involved with Warner Brothers now, in a way how okay, I mean, I'm involved with factories and food service. Okay, so this is gonna be kind of weird, but I'm involved with 2 factories. I won't name who, but one factory bought another factory, right? Okay, and then that one factory that bought this other factory is not that big, but they're very good at importing. They're very good at having sources on importing, and so they're utilizing this strategy for this. And this factory is using strategies for this, of using the money that they have. Okay, so what does that have to do with Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema? This is my own opinion. I don't have any sources. I am just a dude in Hawaii, but I feel like New Line Cinema, and I think I've said this before, very good at balancing their budgets for their movies, right? And you can see it in Rampage. Rampage is what, $150 million budget? Look at the effects in that. That is monstrous. No pun intended. Maybe it was pun intended, but it was good. It wasn't the greatest, but it was passable, that you feel like they're really there. The effects were good at a $150 million budget. You can make a lot more money with a smaller budget. We all know that, or we know that already. So keep the budget low, make the profitability high. And so I think maybe Walter Hamada, who is part of New Line Cinema, or New Line Cinema in general, can be able to bring that to the Warner Brothers, bring that to the DC Extended Universe and DC Films, and say, hey, keep the budgets low, make the profitability high. And so I think that's what they can bring to it. And I think that's why a little bit of my renewed faith in having maybe those expectations of just trying to be the Marvel movie, just trying to get that $1 billion club. Maybe they're taking a step back and say, we don't have to do that. We can still be successful with a large box office number without having to hit the $1 billion club. Even though, of course, every studio wants to hit the $1 billion club. Everybody wants. And of course, they've done that with Dark Knight and all that. And not to say that they won't, they can't. They will. They could. It's quite possible nowadays, but maybe they're setting expectations low in the way so that they don't alter the movie itself because of their expectations, and that's how studios get too involved with their movies, too involved in changing up what the directors want. So if in this case where they actually absolutely want to be more director driven, and I think that is a good way of making things. So if they are going back to director driven, and they're going to balance the budgets, and they're going to say we're not going to change it up how Marvel is. They got Joss Whedon's gone. Justice League was a failure in a lot of cases. Walter Hamada rumored to like the Snyder Cut. A lot of those things put together, it kind of feels like there's something coming. That's something maybe they're going to say, you know what, we were wrong. Maybe we'll release the Snyder Cut. Maybe. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I have renewed faith, I think, and renewed optimism for that. And I think you guys should too. That's all I want to say about that. And just keep eyes peeled out. There may be news, more news coming. But keep on the lookout for the future. I think the future is bright with New Line Cinema's involvement with the Warner Brothers in this case, keeping the budget low, profitability high, letting directors do what they need to do for those films, expanding the universe with new gods. You know, I think we should be very hopeful and very faithful. Keep the faith up for the DC Extended Universe. I think we've turned it around. I really do believe we've turned it around for the better and for great for us fans, and possibly actually bringing the different fans of the DC films together once and for all. Alright guys, that's all I have to say for today. Thank you so much for subscribing, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.